Okay, let's just jump right in. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're unpacking the absolutely wild, rhythmic universe of some of our most beloved classic folklore. You know the stories, right? We're stepping into a world where animals are literally driving cars, rocking trendy glasses, and getting into these epic slapstick rivalries. And right at the center of the whole shebang is the infamous Aunty Cat and her endless, incredibly chaotic dance with her arch nemesis, the mice. Let's start by dropping right into the musical magic of the source material. Picture this for a second. Aunty Cat is cruising down the street, the wheels of her car going round and round, making this really swift swish, swish, swish sound. But if you look in the back seat, the poor little mice are sitting there absolutely terrified, just trembling with fear. It immediately sets up the core dynamic of our explainer. She is firmly in the driver's seat, both literally and figuratively, and the mice, well, they're just along for a deeply terrifying ride. Section 1. The Unique World of Aunty Cat, a vibrant cast of characters. Because before the real cat and mouse drama even begins, we have to look at the wonderfully bizarre world Aunty Cat operates in. I mean, the passenger manifest of her car is just next level. You've got a dog happily barking, bow wow, a massive bear sitting there casually munching on steaming hot potatoes, and a monkey enthusiastically beating a drum. Up on the roof, there's a tall elephant who just wants to be everyone's friend, spraying water everywhere. Add in a plump, singing cow and a chirping bird, and you literally have a circus on wheels. It's this beautifully absurd ecosystem. Section 2, the cat and mouse enmity, an endless slapstick rivalry. Now things escalate quickly. What starts as a simple sightseeing trip in Delhi builds into pure chaos in no time. If we track how her day unfolds, at 10 a.m., Aunty Cat heads to the Red Fort for what should be a lovely day out. By 11:30, she meets a monkey, gets some peanuts, and everything's totally fine. But then her temper flares. At 1 p.m., she gets into a squabble with a bear and actually scratches him so hard he goes completely bald. I mean, wow. And the chaos just cascades from there. By 3 p.m., she's abandoned all her sightseeing to aggressively chase a mouse under a table. A peaceful vacation turns into a high-stakes game of tag in the blink of an eye. The two fat mice are fully aware of her true intentions. They aren't easily fooled. When Aunty Cat spots them eating or drinking and sweetly asks to join in, the mice immediately see through the trap. They flat out reject her, explicitly calling out her real plan, saying, "No, Auntie, no, you'll kill us and cut our tails." They choose flight over fake friendship, bolting the second she shows up. Section 3. Defeat and Mockery. The Price of Vanity. What's absolutely fascinating about this next phase is how her grand, vain ambitions always lead to hilarious downfalls. Think about the stark contrast here. She steps out of her house smelling of expensive perfume, wearing fashionable glasses, strutting down the alleyway, believing she is an absolute queen. The mice even whisper that she's gone crazy with vanity. But reality hits fast. She trips on a stray rock, falls flat on her face with a massive thud, shatters those trendy glasses, and completely ruins her clothes. So instead of commanding respect, she returns home crying in defeat while the mice gather around to openly mock her. They're literally laughing that her inflated balloon of an ego burst over a tiny little pebble. The slapstick comedy really reaches its peak in the kitchen, breaking down into a series of disastrous steps. Driven by a craving for fresh milk and cream, Aunty Cat sneaks in on her tiptoes. She spots a container on a high shelf and, completely consumed by greed, leaps for it. But disaster strikes. The entire stack of metal pots and plates comes crashing down. And the absolute worst part? A deep, heavy pot lands perfectly upside down right over her head. She's plunged into darkness, stumbling around blind. Seeing his chance, a brave little mouse grabs a stick and actually starts banging on the metal pot trapped on her head. So the mice don't just defeat her, they deliver devastating, humorous punchlines like this one as she runs away blindfolded. The ringing in her ears makes her incredibly dizzy, forcing her to flee the kitchen completely humiliated. The mouse yells out, "You came in acting like a lioness, but now you leave wearing a drum." It is pure comedic gold. It highlights the incredible contrast between the terrifying predator she thought she was and the stumbling, drum-wearing clown she became, all thanks to her own greed. Section 4. The Mice's Mischief and Lessons. Cautionary Tales for Little Ones. But hey, the mice aren't perfect either. Their own misadventures serve as excellent cautionary tales. Take this fashionable mouse, for instance. He's dressed to the nines in a new hat, coat, and shoes, strutting into a feast. But he loses all his cool when he sees a plate of delicious halwa. Without waiting for it to cool down, his greed takes over and he shoves the steaming, soft sweet right into his mouth. Instantly, he severely burns his tongue. Crying in pain, he rushes to the doctor, only to find himself faced with massive, terrifying injections and terribly bitter medicine. Panic sets in, and he literally throws his fancy hat and shoes on the ground, weeping in deep regret. It's a fantastic, structured way to teach young audiences that patience truly pays off. Through the fashionable mouse's painful mishap, the folklore delivers a very clear message. Whether you are a cat jumping blindly for milk or a mouse rushing to eat hot sweets, greed and rushing always have a painful and pretty embarrassing price. So, after all this endless chasing, broken glasses, and burnt tongues, we really have to ask ourselves, is a truce even possible in this universe? We've seen them plot against each other, mock each other, and physically fight. Can natural enemies ever rewrite their story? Section 5. Forgetting enmity for friendship. The unexpected truce. Surprisingly, yes. Our explainer now takes this heartwarming turn toward reconciliation. Picture this tense moment. The cat has finally cornered a mouse, glaring at him fiercely, boasting that she's finally going to eat him. But instead of running, the little mouse shakes with fear and speaks his truth. He appeals to her softer side, calling her his sweet auntie, saying he's just a child, true of heart. This completely disarms her. Her anger melts away into laughter, and instead of eating him, she actually shares her food with him, formally ending their lifelong war. And this brilliantly illustrates their ultimate friendship, culminating in a spectacular birthday party. It's a beautiful sunny day for the little mouse's birthday. He's dressed up in his favorite red coat and hat. And those animals from earlier in our story, they return. But this time, not in a chaotic car ride, but as party guests. The tall elephant brings a massive cake, the monkey is dancing, and in the most poetic twist of all, Aunty Cat, the one who was previously mocked for wearing a pot on her head like a drum, is now joyfully playing the actual drums to celebrate the mouse. It's a wonderful reminder that even the oldest of frenemies can put aside their differences for a good slice of cake and some joyful music. The mouse blows out the candles, everyone claps, and they all celebrate together. It wraps up the chaotic, combative world we first entered with a really profound message of unity and forgiveness. As we wrap up this journey into the world of children's poetry, I'll leave you with this provocative thought. If a vain, predatory cat and a mischievous, taunting mouse can eventually sit down, share some sweet cake, and play the drums together, maybe there's hope for all of our longest-standing rivalries. Who in your life is your ultimate frenemy? And isn't it time to finally share some birthday cake with them? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.